Did you know that life after 80 isn't what you imagined when you were young? I realized this much later myself. Most people think reaching 80 means a peaceful retirement and time spent with family. And perhaps that's how it should be. But the reality is much more complex and difficult than anyone could ever prepare you for. If you are approaching 80, already 80, or caring for someone who is 80, this video will show you the truths that no one tells you directly in a very striking way. When you listen to what I have to say and reach the end of the video, you will think again about what you find in yourself. I'm sharing the story of Robert, who just turned 82, and the 8 painful truths that completely changed his perspective on aging. These aren't depressing truths meant to scare you or make you feel hopeless. They are honest insights that will help you prepare mentally, emotionally, and practically for the years ahead. Stay with me until the end, because the final truth gives meaning to everything else. Remember, everything I share with you is first and foremost for you. Let's begin. Fact 1. Your body will betray you in ways you never expected. Robert was always active, and he was very happy about it. He played tennis until he was 75, worked in his garden every weekend, and never needed help with anything physically. On the contrary, he helped everyone as much as he could. To others, he could have been the strongest person still active at that age. However, shortly after his 80th birthday, everything changed. It was as if fate had been rewritten that day. Everything changed completely for him. His knees started to hurt constantly. His hands trembled as he buttoned his shirt. Faced with these experiences, he was almost getting to know himself again and didn't recognize himself. Whose body was he living in? He tried to get to know and get used to this body. After a few hours of work in the afternoon, he couldn't believe it himself, but his energy was quickly depleted. Simple tasks like opening a jar, climbing stairs, or getting up from a chair turned into difficult little battles. Besides that, the hardest part wasn't the physical changes. The hardest part was accepting that his body was no longer his ally. For 80 years, his body had done what he wanted. Now, it had its own agenda. When he looked in the mirror, he saw an old man he didn't quite recognize. Maybe it wasn't surprising that he was old now. But why wasn't his body at peace with him? It was acting like a complete stranger. Doctors call this the cascade of decline. After the age of 80, your body's systems accelerate the aging process as much as possible. Muscles waste away faster. Bones become more fragile. Balance deteriorates. Vision and hearing abilities decline significantly. The psychological impact is much deeper than one might think. You inevitably begin to question your independence, usefulness, and identity. Even recognizing the reality of what you are experiencing begins to upset you. You did not choose this situation, but it must be lived. And it is being lived. However, Robert learned that acceptance does not mean surrender. He started using jar openers, grab bars, and a shower chair. He switched from tennis to swimming. He learned to ask for help without shame. Understanding that your body will change dramatically after the age of 80 is not pessimism. It is preparation. And preparation means strength. Reality 2. Loneliness becomes your constant companion. Robert never thought he would be alone. He thought there would be many people around him who loved him and whom he loved. He had a wife, children, grandchildren, and friends. Life was not what he had imagined. However, after the age of 80, loneliness entered his life again. His wife Eleanor had her own health problems. His children visited him, but they had busy lives. His grandchildren were immersed in their teenage worlds. His closest friends began to disappear, one by one. Tom died at the age of 79 after suffering a stroke. Bill moved into a nursing home as his dementia worsened. Margaret stopped answering her phone after her hip surgery. He had never imagined any of this would happen. Faced with the heartbreaking reality of his situation, he didn't know what to do. Robert's social circle began to shrink one by one. The people who remembered his stories, who understood his references to the old days, were disappearing one by one. Although he believed he would see them by his side, what was happening was completely different. He found himself questioning whether he deserved all this. Young people treated him differently. He had thought that his experiences would be useful to them, but in his own mind, conversations became superficial. People spoke to him slowly, as if they didn't understand him. Imagine how humiliating that was. People act and talk to you as if you were in a lower state than you actually are. He felt invisible in stores, restaurants, even at family gatherings. This situation forced him to suffer the pain of undeserved sadness. It was as if the world had moved on, and he was watching from the sidelines. After 80, loneliness is like an epidemic. It's not just being physically alone. It's feeling disconnected, insignificant, forgotten. The health consequences are severe. Chronic loneliness increases the risk of heart disease, cognitive decline, depression, and early death. But Robert found solutions. He joined a senior center. He volunteered to read books to children at the library. He learned to use video calls to stay connected. He got a dog named Max, his loyal companion. Most importantly, he stopped waiting for others to reach out to him and became proactive. Loneliness after 80 is cruel, but it is not inevitable. Fact 3. You will lose people you thought you couldn't live without. Robert's wife Eleanor passed away when Robert was 81. They had been married for 58 years. Eleanor was Robert's best friend, life partner, and reason to wake up. She passed away after a short illness. Fact 3. You will lose people. You thought you couldn't live without Robert's wife. Eleanor passed away when Robert was 81. They had been married for 58 years. Eleanor was Robert's best friend, life partner, and his reason for waking up. When she passed away after a short illness, Robert's world fell apart. This grief was very different from anything he had experienced before. He felt a physical pain in his chest and an emptiness that never went away. But Eleanor wasn't his only loss. Within 2 years, he lost his younger brother, his childhood friend, and 2 cousins. Each death felt like another piece of his past was disappearing. The people who knew him when he was young were vanishing. And with each loss, Robert felt more alone in his own story. What no one tells you about being 80 is that you become a professional mourner. Funerals become regular events. Obituaries become daily reading. You become an expert in grief, learning to function while your heart breaks over and over. You live with a constant awareness of your own mortality and that of everyone else. Some elderly people become depressed and withdraw. Others become anxious, constantly fearing the next bad news. Robert struggled with both. He would wake up at night, crushed by the weight of the reality that one day soon, he would be the one people would mourn. However, grief taught Robert something unexpected. It taught him to cherish every moment spent with those still alive. He called his children more often. He told his grandchildren he loved them every time he saw them. He stopped holding grudges and began to forgive old wounds. After 80, loss is cruel and inevitable, but it can teach you what really matters: love, connection, and making peace with the transient nature of everything. If you are still watching this video and benefiting from this information, please let me know you are here by writing Reality 3 below. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue to produce good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's continue. Reality 4. Your independence will be questioned every day. Robert had always been extremely independent. He never asked for help, never wanted to be a burden. However, after turning 80, maintaining this independence became increasingly difficult. His daughter insisted on helping with heavy cleaning tasks. His son began managing Robert's finances because he kept making mistakes with online banking. His doctor suggested he stop driving at night. Losing his independence felt like a small death each time. Robert resisted and argued, but the truth was undeniable. He had left the stove on twice. He had fallen in the bathroom and couldn't get up. He had gotten lost on his way to a familiar store. The evidence was mounting. He needed help. The hardest moment came when his children suggested he move to an assisted living facility. Robert felt betrayed and humiliated. He had always imagined living in his home until he died. The thought of losing his privacy and autonomy was devastating. However, after visiting the facility and talking to the residents, Robert's perspective changed. Assisted living was not a prison, it was a community. The people there understood what he was going through. There were activities, social events, and medical support. And most importantly, he would be safe. The harsh truth is this: after the age of 80, remaining completely independent becomes nearly impossible. Your body, mind, and circumstances will force you to accept help. Fighting this reality only leads to isolation and danger. However, accepting help and redefining independence can give you more freedom, not less. Robert learned that independence isn't about doing everything yourself. Independence is about making choices that keep you safe and connected to life. Truth 5. Your mind scares you more than your body. Robert could accept his body weakening. What scared him was his mind starting to slip. At first, he began forgetting the names of people he had known for years. Then he started repeating the same story over and over. He forgot what day it was. He put his keys in the refrigerator. He called his grandson by his son's name. Every time this happened, he panicked. Was this normal aging, or was it dementia? Was he losing his mind? The uncertainty was torture. The doctors examined her. She had mild cognitive impairment, common in people over 80, but it wasn't full-blown dementia. Not yet. The word yet bothered her. Every word she forgot seemed to prove she was fading away. Out of shame, she began avoiding social situations. She became anxious, depressed, and fixated on every mental slip. What made the situation even worse was watching others deteriorate. His neighbor couldn't remember where he lived. His former co-worker, once a brilliant mind, now stared blankly at the television. Robert saw his own potential future in their current state, and it horrified him. However, his doctor gave him a new perspective. Yes, cognitive decline after age 80 is real. But many people do not develop dementia. And there are protective measures: staying physically active, staying socially active, learning new things, eating well, managing stress, and getting enough sleep. Robert started doing crossword puzzles, joined a book club, and took up painting. His memory didn't magically improve, but his anxiety decreased. He learned to laugh at his mistakes instead of fearing them. The painful truth is that after age 80, your mind will change. You will be slower and more forgetful. But for many people, you will still be you. Your core personality, values, and sense of humor won't change. Cognitive decline is frightening, but living in constant fear of it robs you of the beautiful moments you still have. Reality check. You will become invisible in society's eyes. Robert never expected to feel invisible. But after turning 80, that's exactly what happened. People stopped seeing him as a person with thoughts and experiences. They saw him as an old man, a stereotype. Waiters ignored him in restaurants. Store clerks looked at him as if he were invisible. Robert never expected to feel invisible. But after turning 80, that's exactly what happened. People stopped seeing him as a person with thoughts and experiences. They saw him as an old man, a stereotype. Waiters ignored him in restaurants. Store clerks treated him as if he were confused. Even his own family sometimes talked about him as if he weren't in the room. He would try to contribute to conversations, but people would cut him off. His ideas were dismissed as outdated. His stories were met with polite but disinterested nods. The message was clear. His time had passed. Society had moved on. This invisibility extended to the healthcare system. Doctors, assuming his complaints were part of aging, spent less time with him. "What did you expect at this age?" was a common response. His pain was trivialized. His concerns were ignored. The psychological impact of this invisibility runs deep. It erodes a person's sense of worth and self-confidence. Many elderly people withdraw completely, accepting society's verdict that they are no longer important. Depression and hopelessness become their constant companions. However, Robert refused to fade into the background. When people ignored him, he raised his voice. He demanded respect from medical professionals. He found communities where age was valued, not devalued. He mentored young people hungry for wisdom. He volunteered and remained engaged with current events. The painful truth is that society makes you invisible after the age of 80. But you don't have to accept this. You can fight for your importance, your voice, and your dignity. This requires energy and courage. But the alternative, sinking into silence, is much worse. Fact 7. Money will be your biggest concern. Robert had saved money for retirement. He was responsible and planned ahead. But after turning 80, he realized his money might not be enough. Medical expenses skyrocketed. Insurance didn't cover everything. Medications cost hundreds of dollars a month. Home renovations were expensive. Long-term care could cost thousands of dollars a month. He saw his savings dwindling faster than expected. Every unexpected expense felt like a crisis. He began restricting his medications, a dangerous but helpless choice. He stopped seeing specialists because the co-payments were too high. He cut back on grocery shopping and activities. The stress was constant. He would lie awake doing calculations, trying to figure out how long his money would last. He was ashamed to ask his children for help. He resented the system that made healthcare so expensive. He feared becoming penniless and dependent. Financial insecurity is common after age 80. Many seniors live on fixed incomes that cannot keep up with inflation. They are forced to choose between food, medicine, and shelter. They fall victim to scams. They lose their homes and their independence. Robert finally met with a financial advisor specializing in elder care. He learned about programs and resources he hadn't known existed before. He applied for assistance, reduced his expenses, and had a heart-to-heart talk with his children. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The harsh reality is that after age 80, money becomes a major source of anxiety. No matter how well you plan, life is unpredictable. However, facing reality, asking for help, and making informed decisions can lighten the load. Denial only makes the situation worse. Fact 8. Life can still be beautiful, despite everything. Despite all the losses, limitations, and fears Robert experienced, he discovered something unexpected. Life could still be beautiful after the age of 80, not like it was when he was young, but in a calmer, deeper, and more meaningful way. He found happiness in small moments. His grandchild's laughter, morning coffee, the sun shining on his face, finishing a painting. He stopped worrying about the future and began living in the moment. He let go of old grudges, regrets, and impossible dreams. He accepted himself, his limitations, and his mortality. Aging stripped away everything superficial. She no longer cared about impressing people, accumulating possessions, or gaining status. What mattered was love, connection, gratitude, and peace. She told the people she loved that she loved them. She forgave those who hurt her. She made amends for her mistakes. He lived consciously. Final thoughts, life. After 80 is harder, lonelier, and scarier than you expect. Your body will fail you. People you love will die. You will lose your independence. Your mind will change. Society will ignore you. Money will stress you out. These are harsh, undeniable truths. The painful part is that these are circumstances beyond your control. But there is another truth. You are stronger than you think. Even in the most difficult moments, you can adapt, endure, and find meaning. Life after 80 is not about perfection. It's about resilience, acceptance, and gratitude for the time you have left. Being able to do this is a wonderful feeling in itself. If you are approaching 80 or are already 80, prepare yourself. Accept these realities. Make financial plans. Maintain your social connections. Accept help when needed. Take care of your health. And cherish every day. Because despite the challenges, life is still worth living. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment below, sharing the truth that surprised you the most. If this video helped you, please like it, subscribe, and share it with others who need to hear this message. Be strong, be prepared, and remember, you are not alone.